Hey
Okay.
everyone. Good morning. It's only 6 a.m. here in California, so I'm trying to wake up still. But welcome. Today we're going to be talking about tactical approaches to helping you guys adopt, adapt, and transition to the metaverse. And I'm sure yesterday you guys heard a bunch about metaverse. Metaverse, it's been like the hot talking point. I suppose became mainstream since Facebook became Meta. But my team and I have been working on the metaverse for quite some time, and just a little bit about my background because you're like, who is this lady talking about metaverse? So I am a technology storyteller. I'm also an investor, an advisor, a designer, and I speak a ton about tech and consumer behavior and innovation. My background is actually in architecture, so I was traditionally trained in architecture and designed commercial spaces like hotels, casinos, and stadiums for about 8 years before I transitioned over to product development and technology. And I've been in this tech space for over 15 years with my studio. And we focus mostly on B2B, B2C, AI, VR, SaaS, IoT, big data, cybersecurity, consumer electronics, robotics, neuroscience. So back to I've transitioned my career to tech and then been helping tech companies scale rapidly, and also worked on a lot of innovation programs for a lot of tech companies. And part of today's conversation is me sharing what I've learned in helping large enterprise adopt this XR program. So I'm hoping that my experience shared today will bring you some pieces of ideas or insights. And so people usually say, you have this long list of what you do. And I said, yeah, essentially, we're like Ben Affleck. We're like the accountant. We go in and make shit happen. Um, and I feel like a lot of us here today in the audience, we assume this role of making things happen for our clients or for our brands, especially if you're in-house. And we are often assigned with this massive task of aligning a strategic priority and um, and articulating that piece, not only internally but externally. So today what I want to share with you is how to fold in this piece of um, XR program and learn how to articulate your strategic priority for your brands or your company in various business use cases. So I'm going to get technical, but for those who don't know metaverse, and I'm sure in the last day you've learned a ton of metaverse, so I'm just gonna go through this really fast. It's essentially a digital place for you to work, socialize, collaborate, explore, play, and form some kind of emotional attachment to the space that you're in and also to the people who are in it. And it's mostly in an area or space that it's not real. Well, that can be argued. A lot of people say it's real, but but for me, it's a mix. And of course, you have the usual suspects: Sandbox, Fortnite, Decentraland, Somnium Space, Crypto Voxel, Roblox. And then on the enterprise side, we look at the metaverse in another level, which is more of a digital place to allow for the interaction to happen, but in a more compliant um, spaces where we are very cognizant about the privacy of the users and the security that and compliance pieces that are already pre-established within the enterprise. So when I work with my enterprise clients, I'm typically looking at more of this type of event spaces. Um, That way we can still emulate and create a metaverse for them and still fulfill all of their enterprise privacy and security compliance issues. So I stopped at this is the piece on where the most of the mainstream metaverse pieces come from, or at least what how people are understanding metaverse, from Sandbox, Decentraland, Fortnite, Sonia Space, CryptoVoxel, Roblox, and the list goes on and on. But then my space where I work with enterprise is to look at that piece, but also to look at the B2B solutions of how they can host their events and experiences in a more enclosed or private platforms, where security and compliance issues are their first concern, because they are most oftentimes enterprise are sharing highly confidential information, and they want to only invite certain people to attend and experience those events and host those trainings. So today's talk is mostly on I'm doing an experience share from what I've gathered and learned so far with my enterprise clients. Um, and then so I'm sure you guys have heard a lot and yesterday, but I'm just going to do it really quickly here. The definition of XR, VR, AR, MR, NFTs, and essentially, VR and AR it's an umbrella under XR, and MR is a combination of both VR and AR. So VR is like completely virtual. AR is a mix of virtual and reality. It's like Pokemon Go. And then mixed reality is a combination of both. And of course, there's a component of NFTs to all this conversation, because then it's about digital goods and how do you sell those digital goods and in what currency. Um, and then, so how do you really leverage the technology here? So for us, we're looking at it on an enterprise solution is adopting this tech. And for us, when we go in and try to get our enterprise clients to adopt a new XR program, they are often very leery, and we have to show them that, hey, this is not just us doing this. I mean, look, Accenture just ordered 6,000 pairs of Oculus headsets to help with their training program. And Bank of America is also adopting VR and training over 50,000 workers across 4,300 financial centers. So this is not just a trend. This is definitely going to be the next thing, that if you want to be on the innovation front, you have to really look at this from a perspective of truly adopting it and creating a framework for it to be successful. And so we, of course, show and our clients range from tech clients to consumer-based clients. But we looked at all of the different experiences that the fashion companies have taken this kind of lead in the metaverse space, with the Gucci Garden on Roblox, with Balenciaga on Fortnite, and, Louis Vuitton just launched their own game, and partnering with people. So this is definitely I love looking at the fashion brands, because I often find that they're like the most innovative and they take the most risk in rolling something out, whether on a gaming side or on the metaverse side, a combination, and then with the NFT pieces, and then they collaborate with artists and musicians. So I love just looking outside of my very boring tech world, and then trying to understand the whole ecosystem and how people are using this to create a phenomenal experience. And of course, my kids went crazy in the last couple of days playing with Nike Land on Roblox. So how do you leverage this tech? And we've been looking at several use cases here when talking to enterprises. You're looking at it as a way to, tell a story of the brand. Perhaps do product launches, especially if you have prototypes made for, let's say, car companies or product companies, you can easily bring in the prototype in a 3D object, put it in a metaverse, have a conversations around it, invite a small group of people to do, some testing. and to do product demos and create a brand awareness, or maybe it's just purely for customer engagement. There's no transaction at all, but just for your customers to experience your brand in a different level. And then for, of course, corporate and public events, which we're working on heavily right now, and for training, right? For recruitment, and of course the whole remote work piece during our pandemic here, and sales. So we've identified all these different use cases, and then we're also looking at various industries that could benefit from this. They've been talking, to us, and they come from all sorts of backgrounds, from art to fashion to robotics company, healthcare even, and where we're at right now is really looking at understanding where this trend is going. And this is a great quote: whoever gets to the billion users is going to be the one to set the standards. And personally, let's hope Facebook is not going to be the billion users first. I'm rooting for a lot of other companies, but hey, the more ubiquitous it becomes, the better for all of us in some ways. I don't have to explain so hard to my clients now. They all know that this is the thing to do. And so let's get at the nitty gritty. Establishing a framework, identifying the tech, experience, design, and reiterate and refine. Those are the 4 phases of implementing an XR program within your organization. The first is to look at who will be leading the program, who will help scale the program, which department will own what piece of the program. And this is so crucial. From our experience here in launching this XR program, especially from an innovation standpoint, you go into an organization who they don't have not even allocated budget for this, and they're trying to figure out which department is going to own which piece and why are we doing this. So going through that process and identifying, first of all, who's eager to learn about this tech, and then go through this use cases with them, and then see how and where we can implement this and roll it out on a smaller scale. But that's internal. And then you have to look at external. Who are you planning to engage? Is it customers? Is it partners? Is it investors? Is this internal? And who will need training on this tech? And who will be the ambassadors? And so what are the business use cases? Again, like I said before, if you have a clearly outlined goal, then you can set metric of success. Like for us, we realized that, we want to start small. Of course, you can scale it up, but if the goal is typically to just get, 50 people start using this technology, start understanding, the limitations and the possibilities surrounding it, that could be your metric of success right there. If we get 50 people to understand and clearly outline a goal, that's a success. And then how do we adopt? How do we align this with our strategic priority as a company and our brand messaging? Do we tell our stories here? When do we tell it? And of course, the length of the program. Is this a short-term kind of experiment, or do you want a longer-term kind of program where then you have to look at not only the adoption phase, but then you have to look at how to make people come back and really socialize and use this platform and create engagement. So the initiatives that you do to get people to adopt, all the way to get people to continuously using this, has to be different, and you'll be cognizant about that. And then how do we improve and refine this? And then this is almost like a loop where you have to go back in and go assign it, like, okay, who's going to be doing what again? And then again, what are your resources? Some enterprise, after they go through this first phase, they go, okay, we really need to allocate some money to this. And whether or not it's a platform based or a hardware issue, some people want to get into Metaverse without even investing in the VR headsets, right? They know that some platforms, you can experience it on the desktop and mobile. You don't need the VR headsets yet. Some enterprise, they want to go all in and experiment and really have this immersive experience. And then you have to allocate budget for that. And then, so the whole framework has to be flexible, but also understanding that each piece will require time, people, and money to run it. And then, so talking about the technology itself, we realize that some tech and platforms out there, they may not be enterprise ready, right? Because some of my enterprise clients are very, very picky about which platform they're using just because they have a long list of security compliances they have to meet. And some they don't. They like, this is a B2C. We just want anybody and everybody to come play. We're going to make it public. Any type of conversation can happen. Any type of content can live there, so they're less selective. So then you have to look at which technology will align with which business use cases, and then the scalability of it. Some platform can only host an event with a few people, like 30 people, 70 people. Some platform can host up to thousands of people coming in at different times, 24/7. So the question would be, can this scale? Can we roll something out and can we transfer it to another platform along the way? How do we, what if the use cases grow? And then what kind of support will we have from each of these platforms? And again, like I said before, security and compliance is big with a lot of my enterprise clients. And then the whole piece is also about experiences. So the onboarding itself is an extensive it's an extensive effort to onboard a program for internal teams, to train them into understanding metaverse, to train them into using VR headsets, to train them into training others to use this. It's not a short, easy, walk along the park kind of thing. You really have to look at assigning a time frame to this, getting people who are savvy in this, and there are several firms out there who do this, and getting them on board to create an onboarding training program for your internal teams and for your customers to do this. Or it could be as simple as playing Roblox. Who knows what you're trying to do? And then to look at what type of experience we want to deliver. And this is a big thing for my agency here. It's because we're always looking at how to deliver this phenomenal experience, but we often get into the phase where before we even talk about creating an experience, we just want to make sure that people, if they get the headset, they know how to set it up, they know how to log in, they know how to download, the app, they know how to set up the avatar, and all these things, you have to fold into the process of experience design. And then once you pass that, yes, we can get into the full immersive 3D experience. And UX and UI design have changed. I'm coming from a background in architecture, so I understand spatial, audio, gestural. However, training my team who's been doing, UI and UX for the last 15 years in a kind of 2D dimension, now training them to get into the 3D dimension is difficult, even from my agency standpoint. Now I have to look outside of my typical hire. I have to hire gamers. I have to hire people with background in 3D applications, right? We use here Cinema 4D, but then we have to look at 3D Studio Max. We have to look at it where it is not just a graphical UI UX anymore. It has so many components to it within the metaverse that I have to create this ultimate experience for our clients. And also the length of the content, the length of the experience. If VR headsets are involved, we understand that some people may not even be able to enjoy the experience you create for them because they get nauseous. So those are the things that we have to be very cognizant about as we create experiences as designers. And of course, the metaverse architecture itself, each platform has its own limitation, has its own type of technology, whether it's Unity, Unreal Engine, Roblox, they have all of this slew of tech that we all have to get familiar with, and we have to hire partners that are familiar with each of those platforms' limitations, and then creating content that can be transferable, and some are low fidelity, some are high fidelity, and then really talking about this experience, whether we are using full VR or we're combining it with AR. Like, how are we presenting? How do we create a presentation where we're bringing in, a green screen or a volumetric hologram? All these conversations are happening at the same time. And of course, that's the other piece too. Like, how do we sell stuff? NFTs, and what kind of currencies do we want to be transacting in? So this is, again, I put it under an experience design, because for us, when we create a program and when we create this whole funnel of experience, we're looking at all these different pieces, and we want to make sure that when someone comes into Metaverse, if you have goods to sell, it is as easy as clicking it. Your MetaMask wallet is connected, blah, blah, blah. But there's so many pieces to this. And also, you want it to be a memorable experience. And so I created this. This is a business that I created with my two kids. They're 7 and 10 years old. They have their art pieces. They got into the NFT. So we minted 6 pieces of their artwork. It's on Portion. It's a marketplace called Portion. They selected that platform because it was with a bunch of artists from Marvel, and they love their Avengers. But anyway, we created this business for them. It's called Preston and Harrison. And we started creating a space where they can sell the NFTs. And we have what we call atelier. And we have clients coming in to discuss pattern designs with us. It's truly an immersive space that can be experienced in a VR world with the Oculus on, and can be experienced via desktop and mobile. And it has been phenomenal. People came to the space and they're like, wow, we can do this. I'm like, yes, we can do it for you too. But it's taking that experience to another level, which we are so excited to work with clients. When we show them something as simple as this, they get blown away. And architecture now is not defined by gravity, so your buildings can be as big as you want. It can be on Mars, it can be on the moon. It's whatever you can dream of, we can build it. So this is a quick video of one of the spaces. This is the Preston and Harrison Atelier, where you come in, you browse around, you can look at our NFTs and they're for sale, and then you roam around the space with your avatar. And that's their artwork, my children's artwork. Just a quick view of the outside of the architecture. Is this massive piece of we call it bubble. It's actually inspired by them. They love boba drink, and they wanted boba architecture. And they were watching a movie, Avatar actually, and they wanted giant trees surrounding their space. So we created this, imagined space for them, and the kids even have their friends come in and play in this space. So then we also use it. We also look at more desktop or mobile friendly platforms as well. And this was an event that we created called our Future and Forum, where we invited a bunch of people that we've hosted events in the past. We invited people in, and then they came in, and this one where we program a bunch of chat bots, can go up to you and talk to you. We had a dance-off party with the pool. And it was amazing. People really thought that they were in a space next to us. And this was, I think, about 15 months ago, where we hosted this event, or maybe 18 months ago, when COVID had just started. And we just wanted people to come together, and it was phenomenal. People really loved it. And we hosted, PowerPoint presentations in there. We had video streaming. So it was great. This is how we've been using our Metaverse from the beginning, and then rolling it out to our enterprise clients who saw what we did. And then let me see. This is, again, I wanted to show this one because this is one of the latest builds that we created. It is it's my personal space. I call it the Elysian. I love the movie Dune, and I love modern architecture, and I wanted to create a space where I could host meditation camps and workshops and have my roundtable discussion. So I designed a 2-level space. And so far, people are just so happy coming to the space, where they are just so inspired. And again, anything is possible. It can be as out there, and it can be as traditional as you want. I just never wanted people to just come into like a typical boardroom. I've always wanted people to come in and experience textures and colors and just be in it. You have 5 minutes to impress someone, and I just wanted to capture that 5 minutes. And this is all available on our website, so you can go ahead at any time and view it. So what we've noticed is user feedback is extremely important to us, and we're constantly iterating the process. And we've noticed that with the metaverse, you can easily go in and revise your builds at any time you want, which is great. So again, it's not like me building a real life architecture here. I can go in and update, I can add in functions and features, I can build in game components to my spaces. So that's the best part about all this. And the question now that my clients are having is, how do we keep up with this tech, right? And I've often tell people, you gotta just move outside of your industry to really look at how other people are using this technology. And then sometimes it's just communicating with other platforms, other tech people are doing things, and then putting putting all the technology together, and they're also willing to write special API codes for you just so that you can use that tech and embed it in the other tech. And it's really a very great community. I am so thankful. Like, I'm always asking for shit to happen, and I'm like, oh, can you make this for me? They're like, yes. So learn to adopt, to adapt, keep informed, broaden and collaborate with enthusiasts, and really extend beyond your industry so that you can learn more about how others are doing and using this tech. And that's it. I can be reached at all this social media venue, I suppose. I am rarely on social media, so I think I'm only active on LinkedIn, but you can still find me there. But that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for this speech. We still have a lot of time.
I went
So,
so fast. I'm like,
yeah, yeah, but it was very informed. It was very good. So, if we will speak about the gaming side, I can remember about some concerts that were in Fortnite, about Ariana Grande concert and others. And it was very great, very like something like revolution in gaming. So
mhm, mhm.
we can see that nowadays some games are not just like games.
I
So
know, right? Because we're actually borrowing a ton. I mean, all this game engine existed for like decades, right? But
yeah,
it's kind of transition and moving to the mainstream, and people are not looking so much at it as a gaming platform anymore. It's more like a social tool.
yes,
And it has become so ubiquitous now. And I learned a ton from my children, right? They're the ones who showed me the Gucci garden. They're the ones who said, Nike Land is on. And then they're the ones, they brought all this knowledge and know-how. Even yesterday, I was laughing because I designed I partnered with an amazing game developer, and we designed a game on Roblox. And
hmm,
I bought my Xbox controller, and
yeah,
I let my kids play with the game. And I told my client I can't play the game because I get nauseous. But my kids are like sitting here like wing 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 wing, they're enjoying themselves. And I realized, like, the kids are teaching me these things. And then I am relaying all of that I learned from my children back to my enterprise clients who are like, talk about ageism, right? Like, I'm in my 40s and I'm trying to train a bunch of 40 or 50 or how to put the headset on, don't get freaked out, don't get nauseous. And then my children's like, let me do it. They
yeah,
are
yeah,
so easy for them. Where I'm freaking out, right? And like, how do I do this again? And they're just like, Mama, let me show you. This is how you do it. So I think what it has taught me is I don't stop my kids from playing video games because they're learning so much on gameplay, game strategy, animation. Like my 7-year-old is learning about animation design now. My 10-year-old is learning Blender and 3D modeling. Right?
yes,
It's like
yes,
I never learned about 3D modeling until I went to architecture school. And then for me to look at the younger kids really driving this, it really helps you think as an innovation strategist years to come, who am I hiring? Like, even now, like, we're hiring people. We're hiring really young people who are
yes,
into
yes.
gaming, into their VR headsets, that are willing to stay on there and set things up for me, right? Because I can't find people my age that will do that for me. So
Yeah.
I'm so open. That's why I said I'm so open to learning from all age groups, all industries. And the more people are doing this, I feel like it's only just going to help, with this whole transitioning into the metaverse piece.
Yes, yes. So we have a question from Artyom. How Bank of America is involved in VR at all?
Yeah, so if you Google it, it's very interesting. They're using it as a training tool, Artem. It's just like how Accenture is doing it. And we've been using, for most of our enterprise clients, we've been using VR and Metaverse as a training tool where we realized that because of the pandemic, especially for companies who have thousands of people around the globe, they really need a platform where they can enable that interaction to still happen. And with the pandemic, sometimes Asia is shut down, sometimes Europe is shut down, right? And we can't have that travel anymore. And they take risk when they put their teams to travel, and then you have to be quarantined, and there's a risk there of getting sick, but also there's a risk of all the cost that's involved with downtime when someone is quarantined for 21 days, let's say. So we've been looking at the VR and metaverse as a tool to help with a lot of training where you can still hire, but come into our metaverse. It's as though that I'm there with you. Put on your headset. Let's go through, onboarding. Let's go through, let's have happy hour with, the team that we just hired in. Let's say, if you're an R&D team, let's hop onto the space and have a meeting with the rest of your team. And it's not like Zoom where it's a 2D experience, right? It's a full immersive 3D thing where you're walking around. It's with spatial audio on. You're listening. Someone walk further away and you're like, hey, you're screaming at him because this is really the spatial audio is that cool where it's like the further away you get, it's like almost like it's in a next door room, right?
Yeah.
And you can have music, you can walk into different zones, and then you can have a little like happy hour. Of course, all this is all fake. You pick up fake champagne glasses, you pick up fake, Veuve Clicquot. It's fine, but it's almost real. It's almost real. And the good thing is the metaverse is not just happening in a boardroom. It's not like a boring ass, meeting room. It can be outside in an island. You can dress up as whatever you want. And I think that's a piece that is creating the stickiness for training pieces, for recruiting. Now, we've been using it also as training in a sense where the training piece is tricky, right, Nikita? Because not only do we need to train the trainers, so the way that typical people typically present in PowerPoints, right? It's like
Yeah.
PowerPoint 2D presentation. Now we have to train trainers to present in 3D, which means
Yes.
you're just like Tony Stark, stretching things out, moving things around the space, but it's getting them comfortable enough to do that. And charts and graphs are no longer in a 2D format. Charts and graphs have to be built in 3D so that you can do the stretching and all the turnarounds. And so
So it's
that's a
about
whole piece.
when the COVID starts and the first lockdown. So children, they were teaching teachers to teach them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Right? Yeah. It's like as adopting like, oh, we were, my kid did a whole year of distant learning, right? They all did all their
Yes.
learning
Yes.
on Zoom. But it's the same thing as now with corporations. They're trying to find this middle ground where if I can't travel, if I can't risk my team traveling around the world, what can I do with this whole remote learning and remote working? And they adopt this metaverse. They go like, okay, we just need to train people to be comfortable enough to go into a metaverse. We just need to train them to present in the metaverse and be comfortable enough to do it for like 30 minutes longer. And what is that content going to be like? And this is fascinating for us creatives like you and I, right? We have agencies. We just need to look at how do we support, right now. And
Yes.
it's essentially you and I just have to learn a lot more.
Yeah. And one more about VR. When I first tested the Oculus VR, I was very surprised because I was thinking that it's not real, but my brain was thinking that it is real. And my reactions were like I'm riding on the real tycoon, or I don't know, flying in real sky, something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah,
So this is very interesting.
very, and like I work out on my Oculus through this app called Supernatural, and I love it. I love it. I'm addicted to it, right? Because every time I'm in this app, I'm hitting like I mean I'm like jumping Yoda. I'm hitting like
Yes,
balls
yes,
with
yes.
my saber, right? And I'm doing kickboxing, but it feels so good because you're in this magical space. It's a space that you've always wanted to go. Like you can't travel, but I'm in this space and I'm working out in like above Great Wall of China or in front of this pyramids in Egypt. And I'm just like, wow, blown away with all the detail, the high definition, this high fidelity. And the technology is now there to enable this experience. Because if you think about VR 5 years ago, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
like the low polygons, the music can't stream right, you can't move it. It's like now
So
it's
it was so
seamless.
low poly that it really makes you sick.
Exactly. Yeah, it
Yes.
was so ugly, right? It's like, oh, but now it's like so beautiful. So for us as content creators and experience designers, we have to keep up with that tag. Like which tag can hold more than a certain amount of polygons? What kind of experiences do we want? Is it going to be this extremely polished space, or is it going to be cartoony? And so these are the
Yeah.
things that we have to now think about, and it's making our lives a little bit more complex. But hey, we're Ben Affleck and we can do it.
Thank you very much, Mel, for your speech. It was very, very interesting. I hope we will meet on our other events.
Great.
So
Thank you
have
for
a nice
having
day.
me.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I apologize for the earlier technology mishap, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank
Don't
you so
worry.
much.
It's okay. It's okay. So have a
Okay,
nice
bye.
day.
Bye, Nikita.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Artem. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.